buddies, how's it going? Dan Frampton here, and recently on the channel, we've been hopping into our punk rock DeLorean. The two previous years we've done are 1994 and 1981. Both are a little bit before my time, so today we're jumping into a year that was prime music listening years for this guy right here. This is 1999. I hope you're having a great day, and if you haven't heard of any of these records, I do strongly recommend that you go out and listen to them, because they really are foundational records in my opinion. The first record we're going to talk about is by Jimmy Eat World, Clarity. Now this record is one of pop punk or emo's most influential records. There are so many bands that cite this record as their #1 most influential piece of media in their life. This thing is big, this thing is beautiful, it is dense, the songwriting is immaculate. Pitchfork came out like the contrarians that they are and gave it a 3.5 out of 10, which is a ridiculous rating for a record this great. It incorporates rock, pop, chamber music, and electronica in this beautiful way that's just seamless and incredibly impressive. It's over an hour long, and it's as important of a record can be to any genre. If I haven't hyped that thing up enough, we're putting Jimmy Eat World, Clarity, right up top in the S tier. Now the next record we're going to talk about is Nothing Gold Can Stay by A Newfound Glory. This was before they dropped the A part of their name. And I think the reason why they changed it was because fans were going to record stores looking for Newfound Glory and not looking for a Newfound Glory, and it caused a little bit of confusion, so they were just like, let's just get the A out. This record came out before they blew up, and it's part of the reason why they blew up. That song Hit or Miss is the first song on this record, and that's why they put it on their next follow-up record, because it was that good of a song and needed to get to the bigger audiences. It's kind of quirky and charming and kind of feels just like a couple pals in a studio together banging out some tunes for fun, and they accidentally just created something incredible. The tunes on this are great. It's fun, it's fast, it's poppy, it's dancey, it's simple and fun, and they use samples in a really creative way, but it's not like the best, most polished record in the world. So I'm going to be putting A Newfound Glory, Nothing Gold Can Stay, solidly in the B tier. Good record though. Black Sails in the Sunset is the 1999 record from AFI. They did kind of branch out and go down a little bit more emo roads in the future, and they were definitely no strangers to eyeliner. But Davey Havoc's vocals on this record are firing on all cylinders. It's so fast, so catchy, the harmonies and chants are beautifully captivating. The performances are incredible, it's tight as hell, and the closing track, God Called In Sick Today, is a legendary track that goes down in the annals of all history. So if we're calling AFI a horror punk band, they're definitely my favorite horror punk band of all time. But you can call them horror punk, you can call them emo, you can call them skate punk. They're kind of dancing around all those genres simultaneously, and because they do it all so seamlessly, they're gonna find themselves with this record solidly in the A tier. Okay, now this record is the most timeless, iconic record that pop punk has ever put out. This is Enema of the State by Blink-182. All the Small Things, What's My Age Again, Adam's Song, Aliens Exist, they're all songs on this one record, and that's just to name a couple. When this record came out, it exploded. It turned these guys from being kind of alternative pop punk guys to mainstream superstar success stories. Now they were on the cover of Teen Beat. Now 14-year-old girls looked at Blink-182 like a fucking boy band. All the songs were incredibly overplayed. It might be the kind of thing that would turn you away from the band. But the songs are so well written, they're so well performed, it's so timeless and iconic. This album cover is gonna be burned into the mind of everybody that was around during this era. It's funny, it's purposeful, it's focused. Not really words that you think of when you think of Blink-182. It's not personally my favorite Blink album, that would be Dude Ranch, kind of by a long shot. But this thing is gonna find itself clearly in the S tier. No surprises. Now LP1 by American Football is gonna find itself in the S tier on a lot of people's lists, especially a Midwest emo tier list. And I can't fault anyone for that. It's an amazing record, but personally, it's not in my S tier. Sure, it has a cult following, and sure, it has legendary status, but to me, it's just kind of a little bit boring. Don't get me wrong, the playing is incredibly impressive, the songwriting is way up there, but if I'm gonna listen to a record in this style, I'm definitely gonna choose Moneen 9 times out of 10. So American Football by American Football, LP1, I am gonna be nice and put it right up here in the A tier. Something to write home about is the 1999 record by the Get Up Kids. The track Holiday makes for the perfect opener. This just makes you want to consume this entire record and just whets your chops for their sound. I love the guitar, the drums, the vocals, and that bass tone is very tasty. These dense, nuanced arrangements make for great listening. They put on a songwriting clinic while being dynamic both musically and emotionally. And of course, Pitchfork comes in and gives it a 2 out of 10. Pitchfork's review is all like, they just kept it real too much, and we don't like that. They're too authentic. It's just a contrarian review for the sake of being a fucking poopy pants, you know? Classic Pitchfork. But I'm gonna recognize this album for the great record that it is, and I'm gonna put it up here in the A tier. Famous Monsters is the 1999 record from the iconic, from the legendary horror punk band Misfits. Now if you listen to Misfits, you're familiar with Danzig's vocals, but these are not the Danzig years. He's long gone. These are the Michael Graves years. And it's as corny and cringy as you can get. If I put any more tiers on here, it would definitely be lower, but for the sake of this video, Misfits, Famous Monsters, blah, D tier, total trash. I don't know if you remember, but 1999 was the year that NoFX thought it would be a great idea to put out a song that is an entire record. The 18-minute number known as The Decline came out that year. And Fat Mike is kind of on record being like, this was the most challenging record to write. This is the most challenging record to produce. I don't know why we did it, but I guess I'm kind of happy that we did. It's sort of like a rock opera. It's very political, and it just kind of goes through all the ways and reasons why modern civilization is declining. It's a highly ambitious project that kind of sits as the cherry on top of the sundae that is NoFX's career. It's a divisive song. Not everybody loves it. Not everybody can listen to it all the way through because it is kind of 18 minutes long, but to me this is their magnum opus, and it's gonna find themselves right here in between Jimmy Eat World and Blink-182 in the S tier. Through Being Cool by Saves the Day is a record that I don't remember liking this much. I think I was more forced to listen to it when it came out, and that left a sour taste in my mouth, I guess, because upon re-listen I was like, man, this thing is actually pretty good. There's some timeless bops on this thing, and in retrospect it's pretty brave, because they came from like the hardcore world, and just them putting their faces on their cover was seen as them selling out. But they did it unashamedly and made a really good name for themselves doing it. So I think it was a really good move for Saves the Day to do that. And it just makes the name of the record, Through Being Cool, have a whole other meaning. This record is highly influential to everybody that played emo in the early 2000s. But it does kind of drag in the middle a little bit. And because of all that, I'm just gonna put it right here in the B tier. Now I have one more record to talk about, and that's Stay Asleep by Bigwig. Bigwig is kind of more of a melodic hardcore skate punk band, but goddamn can they write a catchy, fast, aggressive song. And this record is just filled with them. Now when I think of Bigwig, for some reason, I think that they're bigger and more influential than they actually were. They weren't that big, they're kind of underrated. And when this record came out, it came out to kind of mixed reviews. Some people loved it, some people hated it, some people didn't even give a shit about it. But in my mind, as far as quality, songwriting, and performances go, it's right up there with AFI. Now I know that's not every record that came out in 1999, but this is a YouTube video. I only have so much time in the world, okay? So that's 10 records that I thought I wanted to talk about right now. And 1999 was kind of the year before it all turned into this TRL core stuff, with bands like Good Charlotte and Simple Plan, and that's why the influences are varied and kind of all over the place, from emo leaning to a little bit more melodic hardcore, but it all had that pop punk type flavor. And as we go into the 2000s, it starts to homogenize a little bit, and all starts to sound the same by like 2005. And that's why I really enjoy the year 1999 in the history of punk rock music. Okay, that was a pretty fun tier list. If you thought so too, please like, comment, and subscribe, and until my next upload, watch another upload.